I'm Gabe from South Carolina. My story with depression and seeking the treatment that I got started a little over a decade ago. I think it was about 12 years ago that I was going through some grad school and first was clinically diagnosed with severe depression. Had been just fighting some of the depression feelings for a while and decided to go ahead and start down the path of medications. With the medications, I bounced around over a decade of about 7 to 8 different medications, different SSRIs, SNRIs, opioids, just the whole gamut. During this time, I was unable to get the relief that I really wanted or was seeking, and then I was experiencing the side effects of a lot of these medications, and that's kind of what kept me going back to the well to try to find solutions and everything else for the depression. It was over the course of that I finally realized that medication wasn't the path that I wanted to be on. I wanted something a little bit more holistic and natural. I then turned to diet and exercise, which helped out a lot, but it was it was all inclusive. It took a lot of energy to really pour myself into that. I had to be very strict on the exercise regimen and then on the diet as well. I did find some relief of the depression through those means. However, upon the birth of my son, I realized that I didn't have the energy to keep up that kind of level of discipline with those means. With kind of slipping off of the exercise and not eating as healthy, some of the depression symptoms started coming back. When those depression symptoms came back, I started feeling a lot of just that hopelessness and despair and just darkness. It was really the only way to put it, and it was pretty agonizing. Anybody that does face depression knows that it can be worse than physical pain. Through this time, I was just fighting with trying to find happiness over a time that should be full of joy. During just the times that I had with my son and playing and the outings and the things that should bring so much joy and happiness, just as smiles and laughter, I just wasn't feeling the way that I knew I should be feeling. And it was in those moments that I realized, like, this is something that I need to tackle again. I need to go back and try to find something. So it was during conversations with my primary doctor that he brought up the deep TMS option. I had never heard about it before and started looking into it online and doing my own research. I was very impressed with the numbers that I was seeing and the potential for the depression symptoms to have a little bit of relief, as well as very minimal side effects. So I decided that this was a route that I was going to kind of pour myself into and commit to. Went through the process and I was just very impressed, and I think we're going to get into that here in a second. But to summarize a few more things, just give you some sound clips here. Medication was not always the avenue that I wanted to take. I wanted to find something that was going to allow my body to help regulate and heal itself. That's where deep TMS was very appealing to me because it offered an alternative treatment for depression. Depression can be worse than physical pain, and I was feeling this at a time where the joy in life should have been just overwhelming. And it was those dark feelings that I had that made me seek out a different type of treatment for depression. Deep TMS was appealing for me because I was able to see that they had great success rates along with minimal side effects. While medication is great and some people can utilize it and it is needed, I found that in my own personal journey, the medication just was not giving me the relief I wanted, and I was seeing the burden of the side effects at a higher rate. So I was looking for something different. Okay, next one. With my journey on depression, I had sought not only prescription and medical treatment, but I also went through quite extensive therapy over the course of about a decade to 12 years. These treatments, while giving some relief, I was never able to find the relief that I truly wanted. Treatment options do need to be utilized as much as you can from a medical professional. However, just the prescriptions that I took a lot of different ones from SSRIs and SNRIs for extended period of time. I was never able to find the true relief that I was seeking. With my depression, therapy was very helpful. Talk therapy did help, and I think that coupled with different type of treatments is utilized in the best way. Let me see, let me get the prompts here. The frustrations that I saw with different treatment options were the amount of energy that you had to expend, or the amount of side effects that you had to kind of take on with such little reward. I think at times with other treatment options that I felt like the benefit to burden ratio wasn't quite there. I was always looking to have some benefit with alleviating the burden as much as possible. And while time and side effects are always going to be there to some extent, we want to find that healthy balance. With medications, I was not able to find a good balance. Try that again for you. Going on quite a few different medications and then changing those up, I was never able to quite find a healthy balance with the benefit to burden ratio as the way I saw it in my own life. I was taking on quite a bit of burden with the side effects of these prescription drugs without finding a true benefit of relief from the depression symptoms in the amount that I was looking for. And I think between that and the one you got last, should hopefully cover it. After getting recommended to seek out treatment with deep TMS, I started down the path with the treatments. The treatments can be a little burdensome as far as making scheduled time to get to the appointments, get in the chair, and just have that time every day to go to them. However, when I started this process, I knew that for the best chance of success of relief of depression symptoms, I needed to fully commit. So that's what I did at the beginning. I told myself that no matter what, I was going to commit to this process. The therapists were amazing. The technicians and physicians and everyone else I dealt with they were just amazing. I think they really understood dealing with people with severe depression, how to handle that in the best way possible. I never once felt like I was an oddball or an outcast. It was something that I was always welcomed with open arms, and they were just very inviting. They were also walked through the process every time. Anytime I had questions, I always felt like those were met, as well as my needs. With different scheduling conflicts or anything like that, they would be as accommodating as possible. But like I said at the beginning, I tried to make sure my schedule allowed for full commitment to this process, so I put this as a high priority. Starting with the process of these treatments, you go into the office, you sit down in a chair. It's kind of like a dentist chair, and when you do, they put this cap on you. They call it a helmet. And then they place this machine kind of over the part of your head. It can be, the first few times you go, it's a little intimidating. You're not quite sure what's happening, but usually when you start this process, you are battling the symptoms of depression. And I know that for myself, when you fight depression, you're willing to do anything to alleviate that feeling of depression because it can be worse than physical pain. So even though that the feeling was a little abnormal, I knew that with the chance for having a little bit of relief and reprieve from depression, it didn't really keep me from going forward. So you sit in the chair, they put the machine on you, and it was at that time you start feeling this, what I always tell people, it kind of feels like a woodpecker with a jackhammer hitting the side of your head. It's uncomfortable. I know that some people try to say that it's a light tapping sensation. It's a little bit more than that, but it's not anything to keep you from doing it. I think anybody that's dealing with depression will tell you that you're willing to go through enormous type of discomfort to relieve as something that is just absolutely awful and feels like it's taking life away from you. So while it is uncomfortable, it doesn't keep you away from it, and it only lasts for a little while. You do get used to it, but it does feel kind of like somebody's tapping on your head. During that time, it's a bizarre. You have this cap on. I wear earplugs, and for 20 minutes you just kind of sit there. Sometimes your muscles twitch a little bit, and that's just, they explain all of this to you. But knowing and researching the process and how it works, I think really helped me understand and not be afraid or shocked by some of these type of things. The one thing I really liked about deep TMS is that most of the side effects that they talk about or that can happen are usually during the treatment. You saw very little side effects after the treatment. So it's when you're in the chair, when medical professionals are around you, is the greatest time to have any of these side effects, which are mild. It's going to be just a little twitching in your hands or things like that. And after you're done, you see there is some changes that aren't bad. Pardon me, I've got to bump my mouse here. I know I'm taking up your time, pardon me. You can edit around that. So I did see a lot of great things. A few of the other side effects that are kind of interesting that were different is after a treatment session, your sense of smell, or at least mine, was heightened. I could smell things a lot better, which was kind of bizarre. During the treatments too, so there are quite a few treatments, it was about the halfway mark that I noticed that it was like a light switch went off. The first half of my treatments, it was a little frustrating. I wasn't seeing reprieve or anything like that, but I knew that everything I read and studied said, you have to stay with it, you have to stay with it. So I did. Halfway through, it was like a light switch. I noticed a marked improvement of my depression symptoms, and my family did too, and friends as well. They said that all of a sudden I seemed lighter, I seemed happier, and things didn't bother me as much. And it was true, and I felt that as well. For different people, it can be earlier or later in the treatment. But for me, it was about that halfway mark that I noticed that it was working. And when you feel that, it just fired me up, and I wanted to be in that chair even more because I knew that if it was working, I wanted to continue that forward progress and make sure that I could tackle this demon that I'd been carrying around known as depression. All right, hopefully enough in there. So after taking the full deep TMS treatments and going through the process, I've noticed a big difference from medicated treatments for depression as well as like therapy and then with deep TMS. The big difference I've noticed after the deep TMS is that it's normal. Life is normal again. And what that means is that you don't live life without depression. But it means that depression doesn't have the hold on you like it had before. Severe depression for me and my experiences was something that was so gripping that it would just hold on to me and I couldn't let it go. I couldn't move on. It was like being stuck in quicksand or concrete. It was something that I wanted to just get out of the grasp of so desperately but was unable to. What deep TMS has allowed me to do is break those bonds. It hasn't allowed me to live life without depression and everything be happy, but what it's allowed me to do is process things and not hold on to them like I had before. Things still happen. We're going through a crazy time in this world, just economically, politically, and socially. And so there are going to be triggers, there are going to be things that always are going to get to us or make us feel certain ways. But what I like is that after deep TMS, I'm able to feel those feelings and then process them and move on. With medication, I was never able to fully do this. I was either numb to the good and the bad, or I was holding on to things. So I really appreciate deep TMS and the ability that it's given me to just feel like I can live life on life's terms. And it's something that I move along and I'm able to have points in life that are sad, depression, or anything like that, but I don't hold on to them. I'm able to process them in what I feel is a more healthy way. For me, what I would tell for anyone that's thinking about different depression treatments or treatments for depression, for anyone looking to treat severe depression, I have been singing the praises of deep TMS since I have completed my treatments of the therapy. I think that is for what I have found in my depression journey, that this has been one of just the most optimal treatments around. I think this coupled with good therapy, diet, and exercise is just an absolute win. It's something that is allowing your body to handle and heal itself. It's allowing you to go and do things without having to just numb things. It allows you to experience life. What I would say to do for anyone that is going down this is to fully commit. And not only fully commit to the treatment, but do the research and believe it in and trust in it. Because I think that just like anything, when you believe and have faith in something, it is going to help hedge the bets and allow for the treatment to work more effectively, because there is a psyche part of you that is open to the changes that could be created. So I think for me, what I would always recommend for people to do is go in, do your research, try to understand what's happening with this treatment option, believe in it, and then fully commit to what you need to do to get through this. What I'd recommend for anyone is to explore their options, follow the medical advice given to them, but believe and fully commit. The treatments can be arduous and can be a scheduling nightmare sometimes to try to get it in that seat every day and the travel, commute, parking, but make it happen. I can tell you right now from my experience, it was worth the hassle to have this done. And by not missing treatments and by committing to sitting in that chair every day and getting these done, I saw a difference and it really did help. Believe in the process. And lastly, I'd say to anyone that was thinking about it is good luck. Depression is something that I believe that no one should have to carry or deal with. And I think deep TMS helped me, and I know that it can help a lot of other people that go down this journey. So I ask for everybody to explore their options, and if this is the right one for you, go through it and look forward to life after deep TMS, because it is going to be different, but it's going to be better. There you go.